Hello everyone. Today we are analyzing To Autumn by John Keats. There are 3 stanzas in the poem. I will read out the 3 stanzas and will explain to you in a simple language. To Autumn is actually addressed to the season of autumn by John Keats. In this poem, we have the explanation and about the plenty of the season of autumn, the flowers, the fruits, the singing of the birds, and the countryside, which is explained beautifully by John Keats. The first stanza says, "Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness." Autumn is a close bosom friend of the maturing sun. Autumn is a season of mists. That means it is full of fog and misty days, and the clouds are hanging low. Mellow means mild. Mellow fruitfulness. That means everything is in plenty and is ripened. Close bosom friend of the maturing sun. Autumn is a very intimate friend of the sun. Close bosom friend. Sun is here very intimate friend, beloved friend of autumn. Autumn is seen here as a woman of the maturing sun. Now, why maturing? Sun is getting older and matured. There is a double meaning that the sun causes crops to mature and that the sun itself is growing older and weaker as the days become shorter and the year draws to an end. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eave runs. Autumn is in a conspiracy, in a planning with the sun, how to bless the fruit, the vines, the grapevines that run round the roof. Thatch is straw roof covering cottages which have thatched roofs. So here both the autumn and the sun have been seen to bless the humanity with the bounty of fruits and flowers. I will read again. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eave runs, to bend with apples the mossed cottage trees. This is a description somewhere in the countryside where there are a lot of fruits and the cottages are there. It is not an urban civilization, but it is not a city description, but it is somewhere in the green countryside where you have cottages and where you have small huts around which the vines are going round and apples and all the fruits are growing. To bend with apples. To bend with apples, that means the apples are bending the branches of the trees. And mossed cottages, we have to link the word with mists because it is a season of mists. That means here the word mossed can be linked. Mossed is covered with moss. बच्चों, मॉस को काई भी कहते हैं. जब बहुत ज़्यादा बारिश आ जाती है तो काई आना शुरू हो जाती है जो ग्रीन कलर की होती है. So here he is saying to bend with apples the mossed cottage trees. That means he is asking the autumn, he's not asking at me, actually, the autumn and the sun are both planning to have lot of fruits in plenty and in bounty and abundance, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core. That means the fruit has grown to the fullest size. It has grown to its ripeness to the core. That means when one eats any of these fruits, it is luscious and juicy, and its smell, the fragrance of the fruit can be observed, can be felt. To swell the gourd, the plump, the hazel shells with a sweet kernel. The gourd becomes big and full. A gourd is a kind of vegetable or fruit that swells up like balloons. So pumpkins, melons, cucumbers belong to the gourd family. हिंदी में हम ऐसे कह सकते हैं कद्दू या लौकी इन या watermelons, these are of the same family. So the work of the autumn is to make them full, all of them. Plump means to become full. Hazel is a kind of a nut shell. Hazelnuts, you can find those in chocolates. Now, let me come back again to the line. To bend with apples the mossed cottage trees and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells. Plump means to fill them, to make them fat. The hazel shells with a sweet kernel. Sweet kernel, kernel is the core or the center of the hazelnuts. Budding means growing and expanding. To set budding more, that means to let them grow more and more. There is so much plenty, there is so much abundance. There is no stillness here. There is only growth here everywhere. Everywhere there is plenty. There is no stoppage here. And still more. And still more. That means twice he has used more and more. He wants more and more. There is profusion. बहुत ज़्यादा, बहुतायत. Later flowers for the bees. And when the season is going to end, later there are flowers for the bees until they think warm days will never cease. So the bees, the summer has made the nuts and flowers and all the harvest of summer grow until it bursts. Autumn flowers are overflowing with nectar everywhere until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has overbrimmed their clammy cells. The bees are actually drinking the nectar from the flowers, and they are warm days. The bees think that these warm days will go for a longer time. They will never cease. And for summer has overbrimmed their clammy cells. Summer has overfilled those cells with nectar, and this nectar will turn into honey. I will explain it to you again, these last three lines. And from and still till clammy cells. Autumn flowers are overflowing with nectar. Everywhere there is profusion, plenty and abundance. The bees feed from the nectar, making the honey in their honeycomb shells, overflowing with the sweet stickiness. The bees get the impression from the flowers that warm days will never end. So this was the first stanza, which shows us that the background of the poem is from the countryside, where there is a full growth from nature, as it is Keats was a nature poet and he escaped into a world of beauty and truth. And here you can feel the ripeness of the fruits, you can smell the fruits. So here there is the imagery is used. Now let us come to the second stanza. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. And sometimes like a gleaner thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press with patient look thou watchest the last oozings hours by hours. In this stanza, autumn has been personified or seen as a person. Human dimensions have been rendered to autumn. She is seen as a lady in different forms. First, we see her sitting on a granary floor. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor. We are finding autumn sitting on a granary floor. This is the place where grain is brought in to be separated from its kernels. That means thrashed out. So here she is almost seen as a reaper. As a winnower. Thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind. She is seen as a winnower. That means when you thrash out the seed, or on a half-reaped furrow, sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. Now, in the second picture is that of a reaper. Autumn is seen as a reaper when you reap the corn. When on a half-reaped furrow, we can also find autumn outside in a field. A furrow is a ditch or a trench made by a plough. The furrow